Okay, all right. How's it going, guys? I wanted to show this video about knitting your art project. So knitting has nothing to do with Miss Cotton's favorite activity in this context. We're talking about knitting an R Markdown file. Okay, one of the videos showed it, but I just want to go over how to do it in your context. Let me turn this outline off. And I also want to go over a couple things that sometimes happen with knitting that I want to make sure you guys understand. So here's our markdown file. You see the top, here you see some code chunks. Now the code chunks like kind of play a role in this. We'll get to that with some of the errors. But let's go over like the best case scenario. There's no problem with your knitting and what that looks like. So even though these are all empty right now, I can still knit. So let me just go here and then I say knit to lab report. Okay. And you see it's coming up, and this is actually interactive, right? Now, we as stats teachers, unfortunately, can't grade this. So let me go through like 3 more steps. That's going to get you to the PDF so that you can provide the PDF for your submission. So now you have this. It's looking good. Wow, look at that. So awesome. Code and information integrated so nicely. If I open in browser, okay, then I get the same thing again, same interactive features. Again, we don't actually want them, even though they're cool. So go to File, Print, and then save as PDF. And then you save this to wherever, and it will save. We can do this right here as PDF, where it does lose its interactiveness. But this is the format that your teachers, sometimes being me, can provide some comments on. Okay, so that's how to knit once you're finished with your lab. Now, a couple times there are some issues that don't allow us to knit. Okay, let me throw out an example. Let's say I have a data set called not present, but let's say I have a data set called like joy. Okay, now if I try knitting this, well, first of all, when we run this, it's going to say error, object joy not found. It doesn't have this data set yet. Okay, and so if I try to knit it, you see it's going to stop. And you have to read that error, right? Because usually it has the answers, right? So the first line says object joy not found. And it's saying it on line 29. Now, it's not actually on line 29, but this code chunk starts at line 29. So if you look down here and you say, oh, that's right, I didn't introduce it, or this is like a mistake, you close it. Now, this could also happen really easily with, let's do this and say we forget the H in our book knot, right? And so we run it again, it's not going to work, but I leave it there. And so when I knit it, again, it's going to say this object is not found. Okay, so that's probably one of the most common errors we see is people referencing objects that don't yet exist, not just in R, but they have to exist in the R Markdown file. Okay, so you would have had to introduce joy earlier in your code before referencing it for it to work. Well, there's a couple things that can happen. These codes turn into the chunks that we see. Here, I'll open this again for ease. Right, so when R sees like this, like backticks, which are the like button under the escape key usually, and then the curly bracket, and then R space, and then this is like kind of a label for the code, right? This one says view girl counts, and that's exactly what the code does. This one says trend dash girls, because that's exactly what we're doing. Okay, and then it ends with these backticks. That corresponds to like this box. Okay, so one of the things that can happen is, first of all, if you accidentally delete this, everything becomes code in there. You don't want that, right, for organization's sake. Another thing that can happen is if we often so in this lab, this first lab, they're all labeled for you. In future labs, you're going to have to make your own. And so it's easy from what I think is just copy and paste this whole chunk, right? And then say R, and I can write like question -3, okay? Let me just double check that this would work. Yeah, okay, perfect. And so here it's an empty one right now. So if you have duplicates, so if this says this, right? R does not like that, and you're going to see that it's going to say halt, and it says again that error code, duplicate chunk label, which has been used for the chunk here, okay? So that's the indication you have a duplicate chunk label. You cannot do that in R. So we would just change that, sorry, I forgot. So here to trend girls, and now again, bada bing, bada boom, it works, okay? Good luck with your lab report. Hopefully this video makes submitting a little easier to understand. And as always, email me if you have any questions.